Dark Shadows number 34, VTR 2967, Air 21667, take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. A dark, unseen force exists in the shadows of Collinwood. A force that many are trying to bring into the light. To do this, at least one member of the Collins family must live through a night of terror.
Guthrie, come in.
I was lucky. I just beat the rain. I was afraid I'd get caught coming through the woods.
Through the woods?
Yes, I went to see your Aunt Laura.
What for?
To invite her to the seance.
I didn't know you were planning to do that.
Yes, I thought it might be interesting if she were here.
What did she say?
She refused my invitation, rather firmly.
I'm not surprised. But what does that mean? Are you still planning to go ahead with it?
Oh, yes. In fact, I think we might have better results without Mrs. Collins.
Why do you say that?
Because she's hostile to what I'm trying to do. And a hostile force might disrupt communication.
Communication.
With the world of the unknown and the unseen.
You really think you can establish communication?
I hope so. After all, that's the point of a seance.
Yes, I know.
But I can tell you're still a bit skeptical.
I'm sure you know what you're doing. I very much want to believe that something will come of all this.
But you're not convinced?
If I do seem a bit skeptical, I'm sorry, but I can't help it. The whole idea of a seance seems a little bit far out.
Well, most people feel that way.
Have you had success with this sort of thing before?
Some.
How much success?
The degree of success is varied.
But you have definitely managed to establish communication with...
With the dead?
Yes.
I've had evidence of communication. That's as much as I can say.
Evidence?
You have to trust me, Miss Stoddard. You have to believe that I know what I'm doing.
I'm trying to.
Well, then go along with what I'm trying to do. I need your support.
I'm willing to do anything you say.
That's all I ask.
But what if the seance fails? What if nothing happens?
I have every confidence that something will.
But if it doesn't?
Then I'll have to decide what to do next. But I give you my word, I will do everything in my power to help your mother.
Hello, Dr. Guthrie.
Hello, Miss Winters.
Is David asleep?
Not yet. He says the sound of the storm is bothering him.
And thunder is enough to keep anyone awake.
When are you going to start the seance?
Oh, in an hour or so, or when David's fast asleep. I don't want any intrusions.
Who's going to be there?
Well, just you and Miss Stoddard, Mr. Collins, and myself.
Not Mrs. Collins.
She refused to come.
Oh. Are you expecting someone?
No. And it's very late for a visitor.
I'll get it.
something of a surprise for me, too. Roger just called me. Told me to get up here in 5 minutes flat. Said there's some kind of emergency. You know what he wants?
No, I haven't the slightest idea.
Ah, Garner. Thank you for being so punctual.
What's going on, Roger? What's this emergency?
Well, I prefer to talk about this in private. Let's go into my study.
Okay. See you later, Vicky.
All right.
What did Frank want?
Well, Roger phoned him and asked him to come up here. He said it's some kind of an emergency.
Emergency?
I don't know anything about it, do you?
Not a thing.
It's very strange.
Strange things are happening in this house. Half the time, I don't even understand what's going on. I only know one thing. I'm frightened. More frightened than I've ever been in my life.
That's the only reason you called me up here?
Well, isn't it reason enough?
I would hardly call it an emergency, Roger.
Well, I would. I'm not satisfied with the way you're handling this divorce. I want it settled, and I want it settled soon.
I'm moving as fast as I can.
Well, it's not fast enough for me or for my wife.
Roger, I can't march into a courtroom and order a judge to give you a divorce. Is that what you're asking me to do?
Just push it along as fast as you can. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Why the rush?
Well, that's my business. And my wife's. Mrs. Collins has been putting a great deal of pressure on me lately to get this thing resolved.
Oh, she has.
Yes, she's eager to take David and leave.
May I ask why?
You may not. Just get this legal complication out of the way as soon as you can.
All right, Roger, I'll do the best I can.
Well, I only hope that your best is sufficient. Care for a drink?
Thank you. That all you wanted to see me about?
No. There's a little matter of my legal rights.
Regarding what?
Collinwood and the cannery.
Well, as long as Mrs. Stoddard is alive, she retains legal ownership of the house and the cannery.
Well, naturally, babe. Liz is incapacitated. Who has the right to take her place and make decisions in her absence?
Our next of kin, Carolyn.
Yes, but surely in a case like this, the business and property holdings should be turned over to a more responsible member of the family.
Not in this case, Roger.
Why not?
Because of the terms of Mrs. Stoddard's will. It stipulates that in the event she dies or becomes incapacitated, Carolyn becomes her legal heir.
But Carolyn is practically a child. She's not equipped to run this house, let alone a large business.
Well, as long as Carolyn is a minor, she is the ward of the Board of Trustees of Collins Enterprises and her lawyer. Now, she wouldn't be able to make any important business decisions on her own, but she is the legal mistress of this house.
I see. And there's nothing I can do to fight it.
Nothing. The will is quite specific. It would be upheld in any court of law in the land.
So, I'm to be dictated to by my little niece. How very charming.
You've always gotten along with Carol.
Until recently.
Oh?
She's grown headstrong. She's the very picture of a mother. She's allowing things to happen in this house that I don't approve of. Which brings us to the subject of your friend, this so-called psychologist.
Roger, Peter Guthrie is a qualified psychologist.
Really? I don't know much about psychologists, but do they always go around arranging seances?
Seances?
Oh, surely you know about it, don't you? You're the one who brought him here.
No, I haven't talked to him in several days.
Well, then let me acquaint you with the plan of this evening. Carolyn, Vicky, myself, and the good doctor, all reputedly sane and rational people, are going to sit around a table and wait for some spook to say boo.
Well, I'm sure he must have a very good reason for wanting to do this.
Well, he may have a good reason, but you disappoint me, Garner. I thought you were a much more intelligent man. You certainly don't believe this nonsense.
Roger, all I can tell you is that Peter Guthrie is a competent and qualified man. I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
Well, I'm not. And I'm not at all sure that he is what he says he is, just a psychologist trying to understand what happened to poor Liz.
Well, he is. You'll just have to take my word for that.
Does your run-of-the-mill psychologist always go around evoking witchcraft and voodoo?
All right, Roger. His methods may be a little bit strange, but I have all the confidence in the world in him.
And you won't say more than that.
There's nothing else to say. Guthrie is trying to find out what causes your sister's illness. He has to use his own methods to do that.
All right, Garner. I think you know more than you're telling me, but that's all right. I'll find out about this man and deal with him in my own way.
Where's Dr. Guthrie? He's in Mother's study making some notes. Is David asleep?
Fast asleep. He looks so angelic when he's sleeping.
Yes. You know something, Vicky?
What?
I've battled with David for years. I've called him a little monster hundreds of times. But if anything ever happened to him, I think I'd almost die. He's more than a cousin to me. He's more like my little brother.
I know.
I feel such responsibility for him. And I just don't know if I'm up to it. I miss my mother so much.
We all do.
She always knew what to do. Mother always made the decisions. I'm not good at it. I never was.
You're doing fine.
Am I? Am I really? Vicky, do you believe in Dr. Guthrie and what he's trying to do?
I want to believe in him because I think he knows what he's doing.
But does he? Isn't a seance pretty far out?
I thought you were in favor of it.
I'm in favor of anything that might help my mother. But suppose nothing happens. Suppose nothing comes of it. That would mean that Dr. Guthrie can't help my mother. It would mean we've just been kidding ourselves.
No, don't think about it that way. There's a lot more to consider.
I'm so scared, Vicky. I miss my mother so much. I need her so much. What if there's nothing they can do? What if she never gets any better?
She will.
Do you honestly believe that?
I honestly do.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to believe that what happens tonight will somehow help my mother. But I can't help being worried and mixed up and scared. Caroline. Frank, will you do me a favor?
Sure, what is it?
Will you get me a plane ticket to Boston on the plane leaving sometime tomorrow?
Why do you want to go to Boston,
I
Caroline?
want to see my mother. I have to go to her.
Well, you know what the doctors have said,
I
that she's
have
not well
to
enough
see
to
her.
have...
I need her.
Caroline, it isn't a good idea.
There's no use trying to argue me out of it, Frank. I've made up my mind. I'm going to my mother.
Now, Caroline, wait a minute. Look, come over here, please. Now, sit down.
Why?
Well, I have something to tell you, something I thought could wait, but...
What is it? Is it Mother? Is she worse?
No, Caroline, it's nothing like that. It's just that... Well, I've seen your mother.
When?
Today, I took the early plane down to Boston. I've talked with her doctor.
Well, how is she? How does she look? How does she seem?
About the same.
Well, then why don't you want me to go to see her?
Well, I started to say, I talked to her doctors, and they feel that a visit from a member of the family wouldn't be advisable at this time.
Why not?
Well, they're still running tests, and so far the results have been
She's
inconclusive.
worse.
So...
That's why you don't want me to go see
No,
her.
Carolyn, they're still running the tests. They're
You're
very
lying
hopeful.
to me. I know what those doctors said. They told you my mother is going to die.
Carolyn, they didn't say
Stop
that.
lying to me. Stop trying to be nice to me. I know the truth. My mother is never going to get well.
Carolyn, that's far from the truth.
Mother.
Nobody knows.
Carolyn, please don't.
Everything that can be done for your mother is being done here and in Boston.
And what's that? A bunch of stupid doctors that can't tell us what's wrong with her. Even Dr. Guthrie doesn't know.
But he's trying to find out.
He's nothing more than a quack. The only thing he can think of is conducting some ridiculous seance.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Miss Stoddard. You can call the seance off if you like. It's up to you.
I'm sure that Carolyn didn't mean it.
She just got a little emotional, Peter.
Shall we call it off?
Yes. It wouldn't do any good anyway. I'm never going to see my mother again. At least not alive. Carolyn, please, leave me alone.
How is she?
She's calmer. She stopped crying.
She's under a lot of stress.
Frank, what did Mrs. Stoddard's doctor say? Really?
Let's go in the drawing room.
All right. What did they say?
It isn't good.
You mean that they don't hold much hope for her?
At this point, practically none.
Oh, no.
They're very pessimistic about the results that they've come up with so far. They're afraid that they'll never find out what the matter is with her.
And they don't think she'll ever get better.
It's hard to make predictions, but they don't have much hope.
But how did she look? How did she seem?
You want the truth? Like a woman who is living but is no longer alive. That's why I wanted to keep Carolyn away from her.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I wish there was something I could do.
That's what we all feel, Miss Winters. Apparently, there's nothing to be done.
Then you're not going through with seance?
Not if Miss Stoddard doesn't want to.
But I'm sure that she wants to do anything to help her mother. She was just excited.
It has to be her decision.
Vicky's right. I do want to go ahead with the seance.
Carolyn.
Dr. Guthrie, I'm terribly sorry for what I said. I was being silly and hysterical. And I didn't mean a word of it. Please accept my apology.
Of course.
I'm very grateful for what you're trying to do. And I do want to hold the seance.
Are you sure?
I'm positive I wouldn't stop it for anything in the world. Not if it might help my mother.
Then we'll go ahead with it.
Good. But when?
Well, in a few minutes. I have several things I have to do first.
Will you be here, Frank?
I don't know. Should I be?
I think it's better if we limit it to the members of the family.
Anything you say.
I think I'll go to my room for a while until you're ready. Would you call me when you are?
Of course.
I'd better go with you.
Then I'll be saying goodnight.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, in a minute. I'll phone you first thing in the morning.
All right. Good night, Frank.
Good night, Vicky. Peter, I hope you didn't pay too much attention to what Carolyn said.
I know she's under a great strain, Frank. We all are. Mrs. Stoddard's life may be hanging in the balance. So much depends on what we might learn tonight.
Then you're confident you will find something.
Yes, but I'm not as confident as I might seem in front of the others.
No?
I I'm dealing in a very new science, Frank. So little is known and less is understood.
But it's worth trying.
I think it is, yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't suggest it.
Well, try to keep the girls from getting too frightened. They're both pretty shaky.
You want to know something ironic, Frank?
What's that?
I'm frightened, too.
Frightened of what? Failure?
Yes? And of success.
I don't get it.
If we succeed tonight, we may unleash a force so strange, so mystifying, so incomprehensible to the human mind that we may not be able to control it.
Holiday on Ice returns for an encore. See this lavish color extravaganza with Milton Berle and some of the world's greatest skating stars. Tonight at 10, 9 o'clock Central Time on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.